This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Alright, how you getting on? Are you well? You will, and she will be loved. I'm recording this podcast in my fucking car again, underneath a bridge, because I'm a little troll. Look at me little bum. Look at me bare bum and me big long hair sticking up. What age are those trolls? Because they're fucking cracking yokes, like. Don't tell me no. Like, no, look, how are you? You good? I'm not talking about any, trolls. I think they're immortal anyway. They're actually hundreds of years old. So, Angel in Buffy, he was like 800 years old, this guy. And he's going out with a 16-year-old. You know, what happens? Does it just revert around again? Does it like, are you so much of a pedo that it's actually gone in on itself like a snake eating its own tail? Is that what, look, no, that's, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So I'm not going to. No, I'm a little troll under the bridge. Bleeding, you can't say anything anymore. Bleeding, who? Some people like, Ireland AM, Tony Cantwell is on, we were to talk about it, and then the comment would be like, who? Fucking, sounds like a little troll from under a bridge. No, how are you keeping? Are you well? I was in a bad mood, and then I was hanging out with Shane and Killian, and we recorded Young Hot Guys, and I felt I was in a good mood then. Sometimes you gotta laugh, man. You gotta laugh. I was really, really bad mood today, because I was in, I went to the doctor. Guess what he told me? He said, girl, you probably just have gastroenteritis or some sort of like IBS and not fucking cancer like you thought you might have. My stomach's been in rope order for the last 2 weeks, and I normally, I've said this before, I had a very strong constitution, all right? The Constitution of the United States of America, all right? The bloody... fucking bunrocked Naharan, right? A strong constitution, mate. And now, I'm eating a pack of Takis, El Fuego, and I'm pooping like a goddamn rabbit. All right? And hillbillies may have been the pot of gravy that broke the camel's back. It may have been, I don't know what it is, but it was nice to hear that the guy, the doctor, you might even call him, was like, I wouldn't really be worrying about it, to be honest. But, look, hey, at least, look, yes, everyone's fine. But I was in a bad mood, because I got worried. I'm not going to lie, I've been worried the last couple of weeks, and I did nothing about it. I didn't go to a doctor or whatever, and it's probably nothing. It's probably some weird little, he says it's likely just nothing. But I was telling him that because of my appetite being a little bit lower because of my ADHD medicine, I lost like a bit of weight over the last year. And he's like, that's probably ADHD medicine. I was like, that's what I told my my scared wife. But I was, what I was thinking? I was going in there, and normally I go in there and I think I want the doctor to like me. So I go in there trying to think like I have like the solution to the problem, I think it's because of this. I think it might be nothing because it's this. But if I was there with my internet going down, I'd be like, it's not working, and I'm not going to provide you any solution as to why it's not working. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, this is bad. I need the internet now. Why am I not doing this for my own health? You go to the zoo, they say don't feed the animals human food, right? Because it could make them sick. That's the same food we eat. Why are they better than us? Why are loving those animals more than me? As Zig Ziglar said, would you give a cheeseburger to a $10 cat? What about a hot dog to a $5 body? What would you feed a $1 million racehorse? So why are you feeding yourself that? He's talking about having a higher value for other things than you do for yourself, which I get. But anyway, look, everything's fine. I'm not in a bad mood anymore. I need to apologize to my kids because I was grumpy this morning, and I don't like being a grumpus. Young fellow was like, can we play? And I was like, yeah, in a minute. And then he's like, can we play now? And I'm like, no, I'm just not feeling well, Should have just been like assertive, Being, no, I'm not going to play. I need you to help me, But anyway, I told you I got out in a bad mood. So I'm out in a bad mood. It's done. It's done. It's dusted. Everything's fine. I'm underneath a bridge here. And I was getting very excited calls. I might be on the late. I'm putting this out there. They had me provisionally booked in for the 11th of October. I'm just telling you this now, that they provisionally put me in for the 11th of October. So for whatever reason, I'm not on the late for the 11th of October. It's because they think that someone's better than me. I don't play those showbiz games, right? Big things popping. Can't really talk about it right now. I'm telling you right now, I'm being on the late on the 11th of October, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll see you all on RT1 on the late on the 11th of October. So right now I'm just working on my cause, whatever other issue I'm going to talk about, you know. Well, yeah, no, look, it is a funny comedy, Paddy. But like, I also like, why is the Angelus still on? You know, why is the Angelus? Why are we still using airtime for the show The Angelus? Might also stake my claim for put forward my candidacy for the Voice of Eurovision whenever in 50 years' time Marty Whelan decides to, you know, hang up his stash on that one. You know, might be like, and look, yeah, the show is great and really looking forward to it. October 16th, Good Boy, you know, coming to an RTE player near you very soon. But I am also here to put forward my candidacy for the Voice of Eurovision. You know, I'm not going to do that. Guys, if you're a researcher for the Late Late, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't you worry about that. I'm not going to do it. So it'd be interesting now to see that, because I definitely am going to be on it. But if I'm not, which is not going to happen, you know, they haven't confirmed it yet, but provisionally, it's because they think someone's better than me. So that's just, you know, what it is. So just letting that, you know, so I look forward to being on. So I'm looking forward to that. I have to say, I'm probably going to get a new suit. Might wear my hair down for a change. You know, let my hair down. Let my freak flag fly. You have to do a bit of stand-up. Normally, I think the comedians, you do a bit of stand-up ahead of time, kind of warm up the audience. Kind of free labor, really. But, you know, you do that. So I'll have to just get all my most, you know, cutting edgelord fucking troll under a bridge material, you know, for those guys, you know. Just that's the demo. That's what they love, you know. Do all my, how I used to cyber on MSN, you know, MSN chat when I was a teenager. They love that. If the sort of material that brought the Laughter Lounge to a standstill, they brought in special NASA microphones to measure the quietness of the Laughter Lounge. The weekend I stunk up the joint. They also brought in a beagle to smell the joint, and it died, unfortunately, because it was so stinky. And they have very sensitive noses. They were like, can you just give a whiff in there? And the poor little fucking dog. I don't know why they did that. So it was a stinky, quiet place. You'd be like, hey, did someone just shit themselves in this library? You know? That kind of vibe. Hey, you know, no, that's a fine example. That's a fine example. No, I'll do my dad's material, you know, when I'm definitely going to be on late on the 11th of October before I sit down with Paddy, my good friend Paddy Keelty. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that'll be nice. You're going to be seeing a lot of me now. I'm going to be trying to get on the other podcasts to talk about Good Boy. So you personally might be, no, look, you're here for the fucking, if you're listening to this, you probably wouldn't mind listening to more. So Dave Moore, to do it Today FM when I'm on with him as well. So, you know, I'll be on there as well. So you probably want more from me. So that'll be nice to promote the show. I've seen it all and I love it, I have to say. I love it. I think it's great. So hopefully you like it too. And if you don't, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, I say this now as like, I'm very proud of it. I stand behind it. It's a dream that it exists, that we got to make it, and I love it. So like nothing should be able to kind of like take that feeling away, right? Wrong. After watching 4 episodes of a season of Good Boy, I have to just, you know, posit the theory that perhaps potentially this is a bad show, let alone Good Boy. I would call this bad show, you know. They fucking wouldn't. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of people, you know, sometimes you go into the newsstands or whatever and you see the newspapers and like they have puns and they're never the same pun. And I'm like, are people calling around? Is there a cabal of pun, writers. I know there's a very funny Big Train sketch with Simon Pegg where there's child labour of kids forced to write Batman puns. But, they never have that kind of pun. But they sometimes, after reading the Last One Laughing reviews, the Amazon show, every single clown who didn't like the show was who seemed to be the most reviewers. They were like, the Last One Laughing. If the competition was to not laugh, I would say that this show. Are you fucking what an A to B thinking? What A to B thinking? You're meant to be a paid journalist. You need to be going A to D, okay? Not going for the obvious, all right? What's your job, all right? Anyway, no, look, I'm having a go. Look, everyone's trying to make a buck, hey? Everyone's trying to sling a buck out here. So, look, no shade. But don't be going for, like, a bad show, whatever. I don't know, it's an obvious one. But, so yeah, I'll be talking about that. You might hear me talking about ADHD a good bit. Because in writing the show, we were kind of talking about that quite a lot. I was kind of coming to my own little discovery about my my diagnosis. The show also kind of deals with that and how long it kind of takes a little bit to be kind of seen for these kind of things. I know a lot of people think they're like pre-diagnosed ADHD and that kind of thing. So, there'll be bits about forgiving yourself for the things that are just the habits that you find a bit harder because you're dopamine deficient, or not dopamine deficient, but your brain just actively seeks dopamine over the more essential priorities you're supposed to do. You might be hearing me shine on about that. And I know I said I wasn't going to be that guy, but, I might also be that guy. So, although I think people are kind of like, fucking ADHD. Okay, that's not one of the like interesting ones. Do you know what I mean? It's not like schizophrenia or anything like that. No, not to take, it's horrible if you're schizophrenic, but if Keelty was on with someone, and like was like, so Killian Sunderman, you're telling me you're also schizophrenic, like, oh, what? Like there's another comedian, he got struck by lightning. Do you know what I mean? Like these are good. These are not good. He's, he's very funny, but like, he almost died, and it's tough and fully entitled to talk about that. And it is very shocking and very interesting. ADHD is not really one of them. I'd rather be like, look, I kind of want to shy away from the old ADHD stuff. The thing about for me is also just like, I kind of have impaired vision. And what that means for me is I have to wear kind of contraption every single day. Oh, you're joking, man. You have to wear that every single day. Every day, Paddy, like I wake up in the morning. I can't, like, most beautiful, it's like, is my son's face, my son's face. I'm normally in the bed with him. My daughter's face, and I can't see them for the first like couple of seconds until I put this contraption. So I'm what you would call short-sighted. There's different spectrums. There's far-sighted, short-sighted. I'd be on the kind of short-sighted, and I have to wear these. Could you not get laser eye surgery? No, yeah, I could, yeah. Could you? Yeah, could you? But like, yeah, I would like wearing glasses, so that's my preference. So I think I'm going to go for the glasses thing, or I might go for maybe just some of my kind of weird, kind of like a little, emotional tics of just needing to be loved, abandonment issues, maybe something like that. Might lean into that more than a bit more interesting, you know what I mean, than the old ADHD, because it's not, just like I used to be late a lot. Got sacked from loads of jobs. I'll figure it out. I'll have the interesting insight on that. I feel bad now because now so this bridge that I'm under is also there's those school children walking by now, and that's fucking not a good look at all. To be sitting here in a car with a microphone, staring at the fucking window, and this is not the Kia Soul, my old Kia Soul car. This is a fucking, what is it? Opel Insignia. So the windows aren't tinted, so I'm just staring out the window now. I'm actually looking down now because I'm a bit embarrassed. There's kids leaving school, as they're entitled to do, without some fucking weirdo with glaring glasses. I look like fucking Elijah Wood in Sin City with the fucking glare in my glasses. I remember one time no, I'm not going to tell that story actually, but I've been told at one time I basically asked this girl out, and then I went to go see her play the next day. She said no. And then I went to go see her play the next day, and I was sitting in the audience, and she told me after, like, all I could see was the glare of your glasses. And I was like, yeah, all right, that's uncomfortable now. That's uncomfortable that happened. It was a bad time. It was this kind of idea. This is what happens when you watch like a lot of movies and you don't live in the real world. You think like, oh, you're doing a play. The day before your play, we could be together. We can be going out with each other, maybe. You know what I mean? And that would be like a magical thing for you to be going out with me, and we could be going out together after your play. Rather than, do you know what might weigh up the chance that that's a no? And if it's a no, that'd be really uncomfortable, because we're all going, like me and my mates are all going to the play. It would be really uncomfortable if you said no when I was at the play. But you don't see things like that. That's romantic. Romantic thinking is a bad thing, they say, That's very romantic thinking, Almost like it'll all go well. It'll all be tickety-boo. It's, that's like, I ask her out, Death Cab for Cutie starts playing. After the play, we embrace, start scoring the whole off each other, that'd be class. But the opposite side of that, small percent chance of that happening. Do you know what I mean? And the other side of that is me sitting there like Elijah Wood when he's that psychopathic killer in Sin City, and all you can see is the white glare of his glasses the whole time. That'd be. But anyway, so yeah, Paddy, that was when that was a tough time, I suppose. Was asking her out and then her not. It's not really a joke because it's trauma, But that was a tough time, I suppose. And tell me, you hadn't thought at all that she might just not be interested? I hadn't. No. I hadn't. That's the special boy thinking. Made to feel that it's mad. I have this duvet that is the love and pride of my parents. I have it. A lot of people don't have that. I know a lot of grown people that are like, never heard my parents say that they love me, never heard my parents say that they liked that and that I did, never heard my parents say they were proud of me. I got it in abundance. I got it on tick. I could get a fucking 20-cent coin, put it in a little thing, one of those little, like, get a little toy out whenever I wanted. I had it on tick. And that's great. Means I think I can do things that most people probably think they can't do. Delusion. Very comfortable delusion. Sorry, it's very fucking loud out here. Who knew going under a train track would be loud? So that's good, right? That I think I can do everything. But then when things manifest that I can't do everything or it doesn't work out, it's absolute crippling of my entire reality. Do you know what I mean? So it's real tough little, balancing act of figuring that shit out. Not my whole fucking reality. I can handle it now. Tell you what you should do. Marry a woman that will give it to you straight. That's the best shout you can do. What else is going on? Had a fight with someone as well today. Like, I had a fight with someone in a charity shop. Some fucker there, working there. Someone who worked there. Now, he was very rude. But like, he working there, giving his fucking time. What am I doing? Fluting around after going to the doctor on the way to record a podcast? Like, well, this is my Monday. He's in there, dealing with other people's fucking trash. People probably bringing in fucking soiled jocks, just dropping them there, and he has to go through all that shit, see if it's anything good, price it, hang it up, all for charity, But anyway, there was a Star Wars trilogy VHS in the window, and so I walked around into the shop and I grabbed it. It wasn't like in the window, but like it was on a shelf that was very easily accessible. It was kind of on the top of the shelf facing out, and I kind of picked it up. I technically picked it up from the window, but it wasn't really in the window. It was kind of on a shelf that was easily accessible from inside the shop. And, so I just picked it up from the shelf. And I had my headphones on, and I heard someone being like, "No, sorry, I think he's got his headphones on. He can't hear you." And so I took my headphones off, and he goes, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "No. Why?" And he goes, "Well, you have to ask us if you want something from the window." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't think that was the window." He goes, "Yeah, well, it is." And I was like, "Okay, sorry about that." And then I put it down. And then I was like, "But actually, How was I supposed to know I wasn't allowed to take anything from the window? You started pretty high there. And he goes, what? And I was like, you were really like intense there. How was I to know that you weren't allowed to get something from the window? And he goes, well, you would have heard me if you didn't hear headphones. And he goes, and that's actually full price now. So whatever price is on it, whatever the original price was of it, that's what the price is going to be. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing because this is an old video. So if we're adjusting for inflation, what do I get? I would have to give you fucking punts. And then I walked over to him and I was like, okay, I can't see a price on that. And then he's like, I can't see a price on it either. And then I'm like, now we're in a bit of a weird exchange. Weird energy. Now I've actually asked something of you because I'm twisted like that. I'm Joker folly do, all right? But then I was like, I'm actually sorry about that. I didn't know you weren't able to take it from the window. And he goes, oh, well, just for next time. But what am I doing? I was anxious. I still am anxious over my tummy. I don't like having a tummy bug, and it's lingered on for too long. And I think I'm also just heartbroken at the idea that I can't be eating demolishing snack boxes anymore. Pig watch might be a thing of the past. It might be bloody fibre watch now. You know? And, I do like bran flakes, so I'll be like, what am I fucking talking about? What am I talking about? But anyway, poor fucking lad. Our lad. I mean, I get it. He was shouting at me with the headphones on. So his, excuse me, he was already at a fourth, excuse me, probably, by the time I took the headphones off. This is like my ma used to wake me up for school. And I would sleep through her first, get up. She'd say, get up like 3 times. And according to her, I'd be like, yeah, no problem. Sometimes even standing up to show that sometimes with my foot out of bed, stomping to imply that I was walking around upstairs, even though I was still lying down. This poor woman trying to get me up for school every single day. It was every single day, right? You'd be demented. But she'd be like, get up, right? And then when I pushed me ma to the limit of ignoring her, it's not her fucking school, and she would drive us to school even though it was only like 15-minute walk, right? Because she's loving like that, right? But then I would just say, get up! And I'd be like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, I've been calling you for fucking ages. And I'm like, well, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. Every day. Meanwhile, my brother's fucking down there eating whatever, golden nuggets or whatever biscuits were masquerading as cereal back in the day, And he was so good. He'd always go. He'd always be ready to go to school, like going to school. I don't even know if he liked it, but he put up with it, There was one day he was fucking look white as a sheet, and I don't think my mum was, to be honest, arsed with bringing us to school or whatever. So she was like, look, you're sick, all right? You do look sick, so like maybe you stay home. And then she was like, and actually, Tony, you can stay home as well. And I was like, what? Oh my God, this is the best news I've ever had in my whole life. Went straight back to bed, all right? And then about 10 to 9, goes into me, man. He's like, actually, I have fucking this tech drawn thing, and I don't want to be getting stressed about it. Can I just go in? She goes, all right, fine. She goes into me, actually, you're going to school now. I'm like, no. You said I didn't have to go to school. Like, I know, but that was when Andy was sick. So then she was like, all right, whatever, just fucking wait here. I got to get him. So then she drove him to school. I had the day off. But she was angry at me as well. So it wasn't like nice, It was, you get over that quite, kids are malleable, So I got over that. My mum was being a bit of a wreck ahead about the whole thing, but I kind of powered through it as kids do. And I was a little scrow half the time. I have so much fucking sympathy, empathy, understanding, respect for my mother. I did at the time. I didn't show it. But Jesus Christ, don't know how she managed. I don't know how she managed with only screaming at us like a handful of times. I'd say a handful. It was different back then. It was her love language. Saying, the fuck up! It was a love language. So, no, she's great. I haven't heard her scream in so long. Which makes me think, oh, wow, maybe she's just not prone to rage at all, but it was actually just us the whole time, It's hard to know. But, cut to me, getting up early, gingerly, stroking my gorgeous boy's blonde hair, being son, love of my life, my boy, which I'm sure my mad did for the first 4 times, which I didn't remember, and then I was, get that fuck, But look, different time. Different time back then. But anyway, look, listen, live. I have to pick the kids up from crash. Thank you for your understanding, Ori, this shorter episode. But I've actually had 2 different doctor things today that have just taken a little bit longer of my time. And then we had to kind of, Shane's away. So we had to record a few extra podcasts. Listen, busy Monday. You want something done right, ask someone busy, right? And thank you very much for listening to this pod. I love you so dearly. All the best. Bye-bye.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.